G'day everyone, Jaimunji here and Happy New Year! The time has finally come. I am going to break down my top 10 favourite albums of 2021. This was incredibly hard to do. I've been racking my brain for the last week on how to put these in order, to the point some of the order changed as early as this morning. I couldn't believe it. Album that was number 4 changed to number 6. It was a mess. Number 10 is now an honourable mention. But I'm pretty happy with the list. Things change all the time, but right now I am pretty confident in how I put this together. Couple of little things I should get out of the way first. I'm not including live albums or EPs in this list, but I do want to give a shout out to Orbit Culture in particular. Their EP was absolutely fantastic and I feel it should get mentioned. Sabaton, Ailstorm all released some brilliant live albums this year. Fantastic. Unfortunately, they can't be included in this list. And before we start, I want to give a special mention to two albums. Two of my favourite albums of the year, but they don't really fit into that metal category, so I left them out. And that's D'Artagnan, Foyer and Flammen. Brilliant album. Absolutely brilliant. If you're a fan of Feuerschwanz or just that kind of folk rock music, definitely give this a listen to. I'll play a little bit of it here. And another one, you might not expect this, but I'm sure everyone's kind of heard it by now, was Bo Burnham's Inside.
CEO entrepreneur, born in 1964, Jeffrey Bezos.
What a fantastic special, brilliant album, but of course doesn't fit the metal category. But with those out of the way, let's get to it. Coming in at number 10, we have Galactic Kraken. Interesting name, very, very fun band. I've never done a reaction video to this band, so it's probably a surprise to some of you I've got them at number 10. If you don't know who Galactic Kraken are, if you know the YouTuber Jonathan Young, he does a lot of those Disney Go metal covers. He does some fantastic cover songs. He actually released this kind of fun, power metal, synth metal kind of album earlier this year. It's absolutely fantastic. It is just an absolute ball to put on. I love it. It's so easy to listen to when I don't know what I want to listen to and I kind of just want something there in the background or just something fun to drive along with. I always put this album on. A couple of standout tracks on this one. Man the Cannons, Best Band in the Universe, and the song I've got playing right now, Glory or Gold. Fantastic album. It's basically space pirates is the theme and I love it. Coming in at number 9, this is probably a bit lower on the list than a lot of people would have guessed, but is Iron Maiden's 17th studio album, Senjutsu. I really like this album. It's got a couple of flaws in it, don't get me wrong. Some of the mixing here and there is a bit off, but I feel the album is very, very strong. I'd probably put it in my top favourite 50% of Iron Maiden releases. Some standout tracks on this one, A Death of the Celts, that is absolutely fantastic. The Time Machine is a really, really fun song as well. And the song I've got playing right now, the title track, Senjutsu, it's a good album. It's a double album. It is long, but it's good. If you haven't heard it, I do suggest listening to it. If you're not an Iron Maiden fan though, I wouldn't probably jump into this album as a first outing for them, but it is good and it deserved to be in the top 10. And coming in at number 8, Fear Factory's Aggression Continuum. This album actually surprised the hell out of me. For a band that's been around for so long and has been known to have some hits and misses, this album absolutely slayed. Unfortunately, it's probably going to be the last time we ever hear Burton C. Bell in Fear Factory, but if this is truly the end of his run, what a fantastic album to go out on. They should all be proud of this one. This album was so good. If you know a little bit of the backstory, there were so many legal issues coming together to get this album released, but it's here. I absolutely love it, and it definitely deserved a spot in the top 10. Some of my favorite tracks off this one, Recode is fantastic, Disruptor is a kick-ass punching metal song, and the song I've got playing right now, this is one of the coolest song titles in the world, Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. I keep saying, man, Dino, print that on a t-shirt, I'll buy all of them. It is one of the coolest metal song names I've ever heard in my life. Coming in at number 7, I love this album. You probably think, wow, this is really low. There are a lot of good albums this year, man. If this came out any other year, it would have been in the top 3. But at number 7, Beast in Black, Dark Connection. Brilliant sci-fi theme on this album. All the songs are fantastic. Lyrically, they're top tier. I really enjoyed this. The music video for Moonlit Rendezvous was fantastic. If you haven't seen that, I did do a reaction, but go check it out. It is just a fantastic music video. I've seen Fantastic a couple of times already for this album, but it truly is. It is great. One Night in Tokyo, Midnight Rendezvous, Highway to Mars, Belladonna, they're all great songs. Every single song on this album is absolutely fantastic. I can't fault it. I know I'm sitting at number 7, but it is a solid 8.5 out of 10. Coming in at number 6 is Spiritbox Eternal Blue, the debut album for Spiritbox. I know a lot of other people have this as number 1 on their list, and don't get me wrong, this album is absolutely fantastic, and what a way to release your first ever full-length album. It is perfect. Like, they did no wrong on this. So being at number 6 is not an insult to that band. This is such a good album. In fact, the bass playing in particular on this album really gets me. Songs like Secret Garden, oh, I can't get enough of it. I play it every single week. So to say that, the top 5 albums under this are fantastic, but Holy Roller, Circle With Me, Secret Garden, just brilliant songs. Like, you can't go wrong with them. If you haven't listened to them before, I'd probably suggest Circle With Me. It gives you a bit of flavour of everything you would expect on this album. If you want something really heavy, go with Holy Roller. If you want something kind of uplifting and a bit softer, Secret Garden. I really do like this album, and also how it touches on mental health, which I feel is very important. Give it a listen. I don't think you'd be disappointed. Coming in at number 5, Trivium, In the Court of the Dragon. I was super pumped for this album, to the point it was probably an issue. I've talked about it before, sometimes me hyping up albums too much, and don't get me wrong, this is one of Trivium's best ever releases, but I think I just pumped it up a bit too far in my head, expecting it by far to be the best album to come out this year. Nothing was going to touch it, and don't get me wrong, it is fantastic. I love it. Trivium are one of my favourite bands and always have been. I've met the boys. I've had a Zoom call with the boys. They're the nicest band I've met in person before in my life. No questions about that. And that's not saying number 5's a bad position. It was above Spiritbox after all, and Beast in Black. This album is killer. I really suggest you give it a listen. If you've never heard Trivium before, or you've only heard old stuff from Ascendancy or The Crusade, they've really evolved. Some standout tracks. A Sword Over Democles, which I've got playing right now, is my favourite on the album. In the Court of the Dragon, the title track is fantastic. No Way Back But Through is a banger, short, simple and sweet. And the Phalanx, the closer of the album, is this epic way. And once it ends, you're like, that actually suited the end of an album. It didn't leave you wanting more, but in a good way. You felt the album was complete, and that's why I've got this album in the top 5. Coming in at number 4, Powerwolf, Call of the Wild. Now, if you didn't know, Powerwolf were actually my first ever reaction video, Dancing with the Dead. I don't know. I never thought I'd ever do a channel like this, and I'm glad I did. I love it. I love sharing this all with you guys. It makes me happy. And so I guess this is why this album kind of has a special place in my heart, because this is where it all started. Only discovered Powerwolf this year. My brother's been a fan for many years. He's probably tried to share it with me before, but he shares too much with me, and that's probably why I've missed him. This is great. Start to finish, every song on this album is killer, and that bonus disc where they bring in other artists to do covers of their song. Oh, I mean, like, you've got people from Trivium, you've got people from Arch Enemy, you've got people from Amon Amarth, you've got Chris from Lord of the Lost, you've got Soilwork, it goes on, Hailstorm. What a fantastic album. But that aside, the actual main tracks on this album, Dancing with the Dead, Beast of Gavadon, Blood for Blood, this album is perfect. Every single song is fun, energetic, and just pumps. I love this album. The self-titled track's no snoozer either. If you haven't heard Powerwolf yet, go listen to them. Or if you're only not too familiar, trust me, if you started with this album, you would not be disappointed. Okay, we're getting to the real nitty-gritty now. Coming in at number 3, Ice Nine Kills. This is a band I heard years and years ago on one of those punk go pop albums. I just thought they were like a scene band. I know that's kind of a bad word to use in music, but I didn't like them at all. The old stuff I ever heard. This album came out, a friend of mine, Richard, showed me Hip to Be Squared. Whoa, what a killer song that was. And I was like, okay, this is kind of like Panic at the Disco, but heavier. And then I listened to songs like Funeral Dearrangements, which is heavy as fuck. Rainy Day, which is such this poppy, good rock metal-y song. The album from start to finish is pretty much perfect. I give this album a solid 9.5. It's nearly a 10. I don't know what's stopping it from being that 10, but 9.5 for this album. It's one of my favorite albums of the year. I think it's actually my wife's favorite album this year. It's different to everything else on this list. I do suggest you guys give it a listen. Maybe start with Rainy Day and ease your way into it. Funeral Dearrangements might be a bit too heavy to go straight into. The album is pretty fantastic, I'm not going to lie. Okay, before we get to the top two, I just want to do my honorable mentions now because this top two I battled with. I didn't know which one was going to be number one, which one was going to be number two. It was extremely, extremely difficult. I'm pretty happy with what I've made up my mind with so far, but let's get into those honorable mentions. Coming in at number two, Lord of the Lost, Judas. This album almost changed my life. When I discovered this earlier in the year and did the reaction video, I believe The Gospel of Judas was the first song I did for this band. I was just blown away at how unique they were. I don't listen to any other music that sounds like Lord of the Lost. They are one of the most unique, coolest bands I've ever heard in my life. And if you follow them on social media or anything, they've got to be one of the nicest, most interactive bands of all time. Like, they are incredibly kind. They comment on 90% of my videos I've done of them, just saying thank you, or even telling me the filming locations when I've asked. They are all total sweethearts. I wish the rest of the world knew them. It's such a fantastic thing. I think the only thing that held this back from maybe being number one was because it was a double album. There were so many songs on it that some just weren't as good as the others. But in saying that, those ones that I don't think are as good as the others are still killer tracks, but I think it just makes the album a little bit too long for me to hit number one. But this album's a solid 10. This is a 10 out of 10, so that's why I had this at number one for the longest time. If you haven't heard it, I really suggest listening to songs like Priest, And It Was Night, I absolutely adore. Heartbeat of the Devil, just every song on this album is killer. Like I said, you can't go wrong if there's a single for it. Listen, you will enjoy it, trust me. Coming in at number one, Feuerschwanz, Memento Mori. The guys swept in right at the last minute the Steel Album of the Year. At least they are for me. This album does everything I wanted it to do. It is fantastic start to finish, and that cover album they did, everything's a banger. Like I said, no song on this album drops below an 8 out of 10. It is just so damn good. If you haven't listened to it yet, please go listen to it. I'm going to pronounce some of these wrongs. I really suggest if you've never heard them before, try out Unter on Drakenboot. That shows you a bit of everything this album does. I'm a big fan of the song Hannibal, Memento Mori, the title track, Krampus. I could go on. Every song's good. Check out the covers as well. It is fantastic. Well done, Feuerschwanz. You came in right at the last minute and stole Album of the Year away from Lord of the Lost. You deserve it. Like, I can't say anything more than you deserve it. This was such a good year for metal music. 2022, good luck matching up to these albums. This was absolutely fantastic. And I got to say, Germany, I think you won. You guys released some killer albums this year. Feuerschwanz, Lord of the Lost, D'Artagnan, Powerwolf. Eskimo Callboy's been releasing hit singles all year as well. Well done. This has been such a fun ride, and there's going to be plenty more in 2022 from me. I'm actually going to start up my Twitch channel. I'm not just going to play video games on there. I'm going to do some live reactions, so you guys can join me. We'll theme them. Maybe we'll do metalcore songs from the 2000s. Maybe we'll do that. You guys choose. I'll react, and we can all watch together. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've already got my Twitch link bio in the description. Go follow that so you know when I'm going live. I'm going to remind you on every single video until we do. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you guys will have fun with that. I'm keen to just chat with you while doing these videos. The YouTube videos will still happen, of course. When new songs come out, I'll always be reacting, and I'll go back and do some more. I am really looking forward to 2022. Thank you all for joining me this year. It has been a ball. What were your favorite albums? I've got to say, and I should have said it at the start, I obviously didn't listen to every single album that came out in 2021. No one could have. So if your album didn't make the cut, there's a good chance I just didn't know it was out. I don't know the band. Share below. Maybe I can discover some more stuff. Maybe they would have made my top 10. Who knows? Please share away. Let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, because that's what the YouTubers all say. I've been Jaimunji, and I'll see you next year.